Well, the polls have just opened in Tasmania, where voters are casting their ballots more than a year early as the Liberal government tries to regain its majority. We have reporters in Hobart and Launceston. Senior reporter Fiona Willan, she's in Hobart in the seat of Franklin. Fee, how are things looking there?
Well, Hortensia, as you can see behind me, the barbecue is just getting fired up and people are starting to trickle in. No doubt things will pick up soon. Around 300,000 people are expected to cast their votes today. Around 100,000 got in early. And the polls are suggesting no matter which way it goes, it's unlikely the state will end up with the majority government at the end of it. The Liberals have been in power here for 10 years. This is the last remaining Liberal state in Australia. And the Premier, Jeremy Rockcliffe, has been pitching himself as the stable and secure option, while the Labor leader, Rebecca White, she's having her third crack at the top job, and she's been telling voters that it's time for change. Now, one thing that will definitely change at this election is the size of the parliament. It's expanding from 25 to 35 seats. We have heard from a former Howard government minister this morning on his thoughts of the Liberals' chances of forming a majority.
They should win, but not in their own right. The House of Assembly is now 35 MPs, increased from 25. Liberals probably will get about 14, perhaps 15, which means they'll have to call on some of the independents.
Now, it's thought the expanded parliament could lead to more independents and minor party candidates winning seats, but it's also going to make the vote count a bit more complicated. So don't expect an outcome tonight. We've been warned it could take a couple of weeks. Hortensia?
Fiona Willan, thank you. Live now to Georgia Simpson, who's in Launceston. Georgia, what are some of the major concerns voters are talking about?
Oh, well, it goes without saying, Hortensia, health, housing and, of course, the stadium are really key issues for voters across the north of the state. You can see behind me the polling booth I'm at the moment is very quiet. I would imagine most people are still in bed. But as we just heard from Fiona, around 300,000 Tasmanians will be casting their vote today. So things will start to pick up a little bit later on. But back to the issue of the stadium, that is largely the reason why we've had the election called a year early. Premier Jeremy Rockcliffe determined to try and claw back a majority government after two of his MPs, John Tucker and Lara Alexander, left the party over differences in relation to that stadium. It has certainly divided the state. It's set to cost more than $700 million to build, and there are many people right across Tasmania who think that money could be better spent, for example, health and housing. Unfortunately, the AFL have said it's a condition of the state receiving an AFL team. Without the team, without the stadium rather, there is no AFL team. Now, on the issue of health and housing, people I've spoken to across Launceston over the past few days have said they've never seen so much homelessness around, and unfortunately there are not enough support services to try and get people into secure housing. On the issues of health as well, the healthcare system right across the state is under enormous pressure. There's not enough GPs, and ambulance ramping was also prolific right across the state. So these are the key issues voters will be contending with as they head to the polls today. You might also notice behind me that as well as it being quiet at the moment, there's no political advertising or call flutes. That's actually a rule in Tasmania. You're not allowed to have call flutes or how to vote cards within 300 metres of a polling booth. So as people do head into the polls, they really are just left alone with their own thoughts and issues. There's nothing to influence them as they do cast their vote. Hortensia.
Georgia Simpson, thank you for the update. And join Kieran Gilbert, his expert political panel and Sky's team in Tasmania live for complete coverage and results as votes are counted in a closely contested state election. That's from 6 p.m. tonight, right here on Sky News.